Hi there, good noon, and welcome to BYJU'S exam prep channel that is dedicated to your success as an aspirant. And this is our 31st session in this series where you and I sit down together and work so that we are able to increase our accuracy and minimize our errors. So my name is Vikrant. I welcome you to this channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to us. And I would also invite you to like and share this particular video. I am your personal coach here for all things related to English and communication skills. I also occasionally pitch in with the psychological aspects of our preparation. Pratyush, Dipali, Sonali, welcome. And before I proceed further, I would like to remind those of you who have not done that yet that we are offering a free trial of 3 days. You can unlock it by clicking on the links provided. That will give you a first-hand experience of our pedagogy, our classes, and the depth to which we go when it comes to teaching. So let's get ready as usual. These are the directions for the first 5 questions. Now, you know what we do, right? We just orient ourselves to focus. So take a couple of deep breaths, get ready to practice with me, and the first thing that we'd go through is a passage which is approximately the length of what you typically get in the CAT exam. Ready? So the passage will appear on your screen. Once you are done with it, once you've read it, just let me know in the comment box so that I can take you over to the next slide. Okay, so there you go. Let's get ready. So here's the first paragraph of the passage. Hi Charvi and Kushal. Okay, Anjila, thank you for the input. And here is the next paragraph. Okay, taking you over to the next one. I'm assuming you've read it by now. This is a little longer. Great. And this is the last one. So when it comes to this particular passage, it is a mix of sociology and psychology. I picked it up primarily because these are the subject matters, particularly sociology, which has gained prominence in the recent past. We have seen quite a fair number of passages built around such themes, and philosophy and psychology along with political theory have been perennial favorites with the examiners anyway. Another change in the exam is that we are getting a relatively higher number of reasoning based questions. So I would urge you to practice more of those questions so that you get a grip on it. And here is your opportunity to practice those questions with me. Angela says narcissistic meaning. Anybody who wants to pitch in? It has its origin in Greek mythology. So somebody who is narcissistic is somebody who is self-obsessed, particularly obsessed with one's own appearance, looks. So a lot of people who vlog, a lot of people who upload those selfies every day, at times one gets this feeling that they are narcissistic. Okay, so it's not a positive word. We generally use it in a negative sense. So here is your first question. Which of the following is the author most likely to agree with? Go ahead, share your answers with me, and let's build on that. Thank you, Sri. Thank you for pitching in. So, whenever the question asks us which of the following the author is most likely to agree with or least likely to agree with, these are different ways of asking us for identifying the inference. And as we already know, an inference is a conclusion based on the passage. A conclusion comes in three flavors. A conclusion can be true, false, or can't say. Okay, can't say can also be termed as cannot be determined or data insufficient. Okay, so it's something that you cannot conclusively arrive at on the basis of the information provided. So we typically go ahead and apply these labels of true, false, can't say. So A, the urge to be present on social media is a reflection of narcissism. Is that true? Is it false? Is it can't say? Let's see. So if we go check this. So the author says, I believe it is unfair to presume that people are increasingly narcissistic for using these platforms. Right? So according to the author, and then here is another reference, the urge to be present on social media is much more complex than simply narcissism. So on the basis of this, we can say that A is false. Then B, social media forces us to stay connected with others against our natural desire. Now this is something that has not really been given, and therefore we can label it as can't say. See, there is no difference between the contemporary network environment and that of the past. False. If you look at the third paragraph, you'd find that the author very clearly, very explicitly talks about the differences between the earlier world and the contemporary networked environment. D, on the other hand, the urge to share bits of our lives with others is neither new nor narcissistic. That's true, and that is why you are absolutely spot on in choosing D as your answer for question number 1. Next one, question number 2, what's your take? But I'm not getting a lot of answers. Come on. We are just 6 answers with so many of us here. Even if you have a doubt, even if you have a confusion, please do not hesitate to ask. Okay. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? So another inference based question, all that you need to do is go there and apply true, false or can't say. So let us check. A, in the past, the purpose of a diary was very different from what it is now. So, is this true? In the past, the purpose of a diary was very different from what it is now. What label should we apply to it? True, false, can't say. Let's go back and let us check. This is where we are likely to see something. So you notice these differences that are being talked about here. So this part goes on to suggest that the purpose of a diary was different from what it is now, and therefore instead of saying can't say, we'd actually call it true. B, advertising exploits our use of social media. Now look at this word, and I would tell you something very important. So there are times when we get an inference based question wrong because we find a couple of answer choices close. Now one of the ways through which you can eliminate the answer choice is this simple but highly effective principle. So here it goes. An inference is supposed to retain the tone of the passages of the facts that it has been drawn from. So you know, tone shows emotion or attitude. So if the facts are against something, the inference that you arrive at should also be against. Now let's make it tougher. If the facts are mildly against, the conclusion should also be mildly against. If the facts are strongly against, the conclusion must also be strongly against. So there are times when we forget to match or map the tone, and that can be exploited by the examiner to create close answer choices. Now if you look at the tone of B, advertising exploits our use of social media. It's a very clear-cut case of a negative tone towards advertising in social media. Now if I take you back to the part where advertisements are mentioned, and here they are. So it says they are commodified, but then the next part says they are used to create value. So you notice the passage, the relevant information is not negative, because B is negative. This is something that is not consistent with the passage as an inference and therefore can be ruled out. Okay, C, people are displaying their self-obsession through their social media posts. Once again, self-obsession is pretty close to narcissism, and as we've looked at in the previous question, according to the author, people who post are not narcissistic. So this is also not true. Let's remove it. D, diaries in the past were private while social media platforms are like public diaries. Is that true? Since some of us have picked it up as an answer, let's check. Let me show you something. This is the paragraph. Diaries today are for the most part private. New England diaries in contrast were commonly shared. So on the basis of this, can we say that diaries in the past were private? Diaries today, on the other hand, are private. Diaries in the past, particularly of a variety called New England diaries, they were meant to be shared. So this part is actually false. And therefore, even D can be eliminated. The best that we have here is option A. So referring back to the right part of the passage becomes very important, and that is why you should definitely work towards enhancing your retention, and use this passage regression aggressively. Right? C is false here. Self-obsession is narcissism, and narcissism, according to the passage, is not the reason for posting, as witnessed by the 4th paragraph. Since we've looked at it with the first question, I thought that I can skip it by not taking you back to the relevant part first. If you read this part, you'd know that C is false and therefore can be eliminated. Can be tricky at times. Here is another one of those questions where you are supposed to strengthen, and I hope you know how to do that. Go ahead, do it, and then we talk. Shri, I had highlighted some part of the passage when I was looking at A. If you refer to that piece of information and look at A, you'd realize that it will turn out to be good. In fact, this was easier because even if you say A is not true, you realize B, C and D are definitely false. Even if you were to label it as can't say, it will still turn out to be the best answer choice for you. Okay, Angela has set the ball rolling. So, how do we strengthen? At the end of the day, strengthening is always with respect to some conclusion, some opinion that is shared by the author. So, there are times when the conclusion or that opinion is given to you in the question itself. But there are times when the examiner relies on your overview of the passage and that you'd be able to figure it out on the basis of that. So let us see if one of these 4 goes ahead and supports some opinion, some conclusion that has been given by the author in the passage. So can it be A? The author overall is positive towards social media. A is negative towards social media, and therefore this will weaken, and thus we can rule it out. B, people who use social media report that sharing mundane events on social media reinforces connection and intimacy. Now, if you notice, where exactly did we end? See this? Social media of all kinds not only enable people to see their reflections, but to feel their connections as well. Right? And if you also look at it from this part, I think you'd safely be able to say that if B is true, then it supports those areas, right? So B definitely strengthens, but let's see, something else can perhaps turn out to be even better. C, using social media commercially does not really help her personality development. Irrelevant, out of scope, it neither strengthens nor weakens. D, the opinion on commercial access to our social media usage is divided. Again, irrelevant, it is out of scope. The passage does not talk about whether the opinion is divided or not, and therefore it will neither strengthen nor weaken, and thus B is absolutely the correct answer choice. And here it comes, the 4th question. What's your take? And this time around, I am testing your understanding of identifying an assumption. Let's see. Vaishnav, now that you're talking about a movie, I hope you are done with your ZAT application. Let me give you a reality check. Okay, so what's your take? What's your take, guys? Harshad is the first one to give us the answer, to give us an answer. Let's see what others think. So the statement is, there is a multi-billion-dollar industry pulling us into our smartphones, relying on a long-standing human need for communication. Okay, what is the assumption here? So what I typically do when it comes to assumption based questions, especially in reading comprehension and especially in even the verbal logic questions in the non-CAT exams, is that I use a negation test. I take the opposite of an answer and see what impact it has on the statement. If the statement can no longer be made, I know that I found my assumption. If the statement can still be made, it is not going to be an assumption. And here, so far, I'm getting two answers, A and C, so let's evaluate it. A says the smartphone industry is exploiting human beings. Okay, let's negate it. Let us say that the smartphone industry is not exploiting. Even then this statement can be made. The statement can be made because the statement is not conveyed using a negative attitude. So because the statement can still be made after negating A is not our answer. C, when a significant amount of money is spent on gaining the attention of people, such efforts can succeed. So see, there is a multi-billion-dollar industry pulling us into our smartphones, relying on long-standing human need for communication. So in order to do this, we need to believe that, oh, when you say multi-billion-dollar industry pulling us into our smartphones, the assumption is that all those billions are capable of pulling us in. Otherwise, this part is meaningless. And that is why when C says such efforts can succeed, this is a correct assumption. If you negate it, the negation will be such efforts do not succeed. Now, the moment you say this, you'd no longer be able to make this claim that is given in the quotes here. You just negate it and check whether you can make it. And that is why this is better. Vaishnav has an interesting take. Waiting for others to fill the forms. क्यों भाई? भाई ये क्या logic है यार? Oh, Vaishnav, that is a college that you would not like to miss out on, and then there are almost 70 more colleges. अभी सरल सर ने यार पूरा वीडियो बनाया भाई, बहुत इनपुट दे उसमें तुमको, चेक करो ना. There are a lot of other good colleges that you can apply to through that. And then there are some colleges that take both the scores of CAT as well as that. So you are also maximizing your chances. And then if you were to apply, if you are going to apply, you might as well apply sooner. So that takes care of our first passage. And so far, if you've enjoyed working with me, like kar dena yaar. And with that, let us move over to one more pass. Okay, there is one more question. Sorry, I forgot that I actually went overboard with reasoning. So question number 5, what's your take? Which of the following is a logical conclusion based on the last paragraph of the passage? And to make your life easy, here is the last paragraph. Read it and then I'll bring you back to the question. You've read it, you managed to look at this. Here is the question once again. आज तो 1 बजे सरल सर का सेशन भी है भाई, नंबर अरेंजमेंट्स वाला. इसको टाइमली रैप करते हैं ताकि तुम थोड़ा ब्रेक ले पाओ. सो विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज अ लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन ऑफ द लास्ट पैराग्राफ ऑफ द पैसेज? And you guys are absolutely spot on. It is indeed A. Look at B, social media connectivity is mostly meaningless and unreal is actually false, because you see this here. The author says, I am not arguing that social connectivity is not meaningful or real. Okay, and therefore B is false, A is indeed correct. So with that, let's dive over to passage 2. Here are the questions for the next one. This time around, there are two differences. Number one, I have picked up a theme which gets asked very frequently in the exam, the subject matter, and that is anthropology. And the other thing that I am going, so as a result, chances are that you may not be very familiar with it. The other thing that I am going to challenge you with is the size. So the typical CAT passage has around 500 words. Now I remember back in the day when we used to prepare, the average length was around 800 to 1100 words per passage. In fact, in some exams, this used to be even longer. So when I talk about an exam like IIFT, the passages were generally on the lengthier side. I remember there was a time long ago when FMS used to conduct its own entrance exam, and FMS also occasionally in between here and there gave us passages that were lengthy. And even today, if you believe in preparing for the worst, you would definitely like to be ready for passages which are long. Yet another thing that I'll do is that I am going to make a question or two rather vague, and let us see how you deal with that vagueness. Divij says, how long does it take me to read a CAT passage? Divij, I am able to typically read a CAT passage in under 1 minute. And the usual target that I give to my students is that you should be in a position to read it in under 2 minutes. And mind you, when I say read here, we are basically reading it to generate an overview. It is a skill, and apart from the skill of generating overview, you of course need to have a decent reading speed. When both of these skills are really well developed, it becomes a cakewalk. So I may take around 90 seconds for some of those passages which are dense, passages where I tend to see a lot of new ideas thrown in. That's when I have to cut down on my speed a bit. Otherwise, I think that's what I generally take. Okay, so get ready. Lengthy passage. I normally prefer taking you through paragraph by paragraph, but in this passage there are two instances where the paragraphs were so long that I could not fit them onto a single slide, so I had to break them. And therefore I'd no, not at all, Shri, not at all. What is the average length of the passage? The average length is around 500 words, right? Most of you even today have a speed of around, I'd say, what, 300 words per minute. Now combine it with the fact that there is pressure in the exam, you'd probably already be touching around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, but I have a reading speed of around 600 to 700 words per minute. I don't practice it. When I used to practice it, I could actually take it consistently at around 800-900 words per minute. I don't practice my reading speed as much as needed. I don't write the exams that seriously now, but I believe this is achievable. I mean, anybody, any of you, if you start today, 800 words per minute is a very realistic target. It's a very realistic goal that you can reach. Vrinda, if I look at the last 2 years, the maximum length was around 540 words, but prior to that, it actually was, if I look at CAT 19, the passages were on an average lengthier. If I talk about exams like IIFT or TISNET, the average length is on the higher side. Okay, so let's go. Go ahead. Let's just read it. Once you've read it, let me know. Fantastic, Vrinda and Angela. That's healthy pace here. That's good. Can be a little faster still. Okay, this time around, I've broken it down into two. This paragraph is broken into two parts. Should I? So read this in continuation, okay? With effective protection from wind chill. This is again a paragraph that is divided into two parts. So, however, even if earlier hominins were hairier than modern humans, Fantastic. Next paragraph. Keep focusing, guys. Okay, next. Next. Look at this unexpected twist. Okay. Second last. Just one more slide to go. You guys have soldiered on so far, and that's fabulous. And here is the last paragraph. Done? Okay. So here is my first question to you. This is what we typically call a specific detail question. In lengthier passages, even specific detail questions can turn out to be challenging. Why don't you go ahead and give this one a shot? I've kept it easy. Vaishnav says, what happened? What happened, Vaishnav? So question number 6, what do you think? There have been a lot of big numbers thrown around in the passage, right? See, so number 1, the passage in the very first paragraph talks about Pleistocene ice ages, and the question asks us for the earliest one. Let me invite you to go back to the last paragraph. During earlier glacial cycles dating back to the early Pleistocene more than 1 million years ago. So our best guess will be option B. So it could also have been D, because D also means more than 1 million years ago, but 1 million versus 5 million, 4 million years gap, that's a bit too much. And therefore our best guess, and I'm saying guess, in fact question is also using could and not is, so we simply had to guess. And on the basis of the various points of information that are presented in the passage, I think B is the safest guess for us and should be the best answer choice. Here is the next one. This may make you think a little bit. Vaishnav, 8 million was not even there as an option. So, in the last paragraph, we have seen Pleistocene ages happened anywhere between 1 million years. Ice ages happened from 1 million years ago to around 40,000 years ago. Pointed owls and eyed needles go only as far back as what, around 15 to 13,000 years. But when we look at the study of clothing lice, if we look at the last paragraph, what does it tell us? In fact, second last paragraph, where it pushes the dates back to 70,000 to 100,000, 80,000 to 170,000 years ago during the previous ice age. So the best evidence that we have among all of these is B. That's the strongest, and therefore if you've chosen B, you'd be absolutely spot on. And here is one more question. which of the following best supports the necessity of using the fabric, necessity of fabric by hominins? Go ahead, give this one a shot. This should be easy. Oops, sorry. Anji, Srishtu, Vanshita, Pratyush, Sonali, what do you think? That's the recurrent theme. Absolutely correct. The answer here is indeed A. And here is a thought that I want to leave you with. It is very deep. If you think it over, you may go through a wow moment just the way I did. A champion is afraid of losing. Everyone else is afraid of winning. Think it over. Treat it as an exercise in comprehension, and hopefully you'll be wowed. So that's it from me today. If you liked the session, don't forget to show that, and of course, yes, do subscribe to the channel as well. If you want more practice, you can head over to our app where we upload daily section wise quizzes. We have also launched our test series which gives you ample practice. You can consider enrolling for that too. And if this session is relevant for you, you want to have a roadmap for 99 percentile, do make sure that you register for it. And in order to get a great percentile, your journey starts with our comprehensive programs. We have new batches available even now, and if you can take the benefit of that. If you are unsure, you can unlock a 3-day trial, experience it firsthand, and then become sure. We are also going to conduct a scholarship test on 23rd of July. Perhaps that can help you make up your mind. So that's it from me today. I will see you once again on Sunday, where our area of focus will be para jumbles. Remember, last weekend we focused on para summary. So this Sunday we are going to just sit down and work with a few para jumbles, and hopefully in the process fine tune our approach. Until then, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch, keep working hard, and have a great day ahead. Jai Hind.